Tyranids are a force of nature, travelling the galaxy like a swarm of intergalactic locusts, leaving planets as barren rocks. They are the ultimate apex predator, designed to kill and consume everything. But how do these invaders work? Let's find out. Imperial explorers discover something incomprehensible and horrifying. Multiple worlds that had once teemed with life were not just dead, but had almost vanished. The oceans had been dried up. All living matter was gone, down to the very bacteria. All that was left was an empty, barren rock. The mystery of these dead worlds was answered a decade later, when the imperial world of Tyran was warned of an imminent attack, and had only 7 days to prepare before the swarm of unidentified aliens descended on the planet. The planet's once impenetrable garrison was overrun in mere hours. In the survivors' last moments, a tech priest managed to plunge a data codex deep into the earth, with all information of the invaders being saved and discovered years later. The Imperial named this species the Tyranids, after the fallen planet. As Tyranids move through real space, a phenomenon known as the shadow in the warp silences the alternative dimension, meaning psychers are rendered powerless, unable to contact anyone off-world for help. It's difficult to discuss the Tyranid race as singular. All Tyranids are connected to the Hive mind. Little is known about the Hive mind. So far, its connection seems almost endless, but it's this force that drives the Tyranids on to endlessly consume all biomatter to reproduce more Tyranids, and the more they eat, the more powerful and diverse of a threat they become. Tyranids don't build or make weapons or warships. Everything is natural. The huge Hive fleets that travel from world to world are all living creatures, travelling with smaller Tyranids inside them. At the centre of each Hive fleet is the Hive ship, the heart and driving force of the fleet, acting as a beacon for the Hive mind, pushing its will onto the fleet. The Hive ship will never engage directly, holding back to keep itself and the Norn queen that lies aboard it safe. This queen is responsible for the reproduction of the species, with the creatures she creates able to change rapidly depending on the army's needs and the stock of DNA she has available to use. Let's talk about the different stages of their invasion. The first stage often goes unseen. Small drones will scout the planet, relaying everything back to the Hive mind, and drop gene stealers and lictors onto the planet's surface. These two creatures can act independently of the Hive mind. Lictors will bury underground and analyse the planet, gathering data. They'll also attack individual targets, absorbing their memories and DNA. Gene stealers splice the planet's native fauna and creatures with Tyranid DNA, eventually resulting in Tyranid hybrids. On human planets, gene stealers may also slice their DNA into humans, turning them into some kind of hybrid, looking monstrous, but compelling them to mate with humans, and each of their generations will look more human than the last. The fourth generation cannot be told apart, and they will give birth to pure gene stealers, who will travel to other cities on the planets to start the cycle anew. These cultists can't hear the Hive mind directly, but are part of a localised brood mind directed by a gene stealer patriarch. This brood mind, once fully formed, acts as a beacon to the Hive fleet to start attacking the planet. As for the cultists, those who can attempt to become high-ranking officers in important positions to delay countermeasures when the Hive fleet attacks proper. The older generation of cultists who couldn't get away from these high-ranking jobs await the signal to attack the humans from within. These cults are always a risk. Even without a drone, if a single gene stealer manages to sneak aboard a ship, the whole planet is at risk in a few years' time. When the planet is deemed ready, the Hive ship launches mycelic spores into the atmosphere, some of which will contain microorganisms that will create spore chimneys that pump out seeds and chemicals to change the planet's atmosphere and fauna, while others host parts of the Tyranid army. Morlocks and Trigons will bury underground, spreading the spores that cause capillary towers to grow across the planet, even in the depths of the ocean. These towers will attack and absorb everything that comes near it, including the very microbes in the air. Reclamation pools will gather under them, used to break down biomass. The Tyranids will now spread across the planet like a swarm of locusts, on foot, through the air and under the sea, killing everything in their path. The hive mind will constantly assess the situation, developing new strains of Tyranids to adapt to any situation. Smaller units will often act on an instinctual level. However, those close to a hive tyrant, who is the closest being to the hive mind at any point, will be so in sync they typically move as one with unnatural levels of coordination. If the hive tyrant can be killed, the units under their control can range from being disorientated to cannibalizing each other. At this stage of the invasion, even if the Tyranid army is stopped, the world's ecosystem will be almost irreversibly damaged, with the possibility of them returning likely if even a single microbe is left behind. A very likely thing, as all Tyranids are highly resistant to biological and chemical toxins. As the Tyranids sweep the planet, behind them is a second wave of smaller Tyranids, called Rippers. They sweep behind the front lines, eating everything in their path, storing the biomass and DNA inside themselves until they cannot feed anymore. At this stage, they will drag themselves to the nearest reclamation pool and throw themselves in, so they, and everything they've eaten, is absorbed into the capillary towers, who will eventually transfer the biomass back to the hive ship to feed the Norn Queen. At this stage, it's probably too late for the planet to be saved. As the last of the planet's native creatures die, the Tyranid army and any Gene Stealer cult members will go to a reclamation pool and throw themselves in, for their own biomass will be broken down and recycled, while the Rippers eat everything left on the planet's surface. As this happens, the capillary towers grow upwards, breaching the atmosphere until they connect to the hive ship, while a huge suction organ absorbs the planet's oceans and atmosphere until nothing but a barren rock is left behind. Then the hive ship will absorb the capillary tower itself, leaving nothing behind. After the planet is absorbed, the DNA of everything is stored in the hive ship, never forgotten. This DNA allows for so many variations of Tyranids to be spawned. It was the Space Marines' DNA which led to the creation of the Hive Guards, meaning every success of the Tyranids makes them stronger. The death toll doesn't matter, as every living and dead Tyranid will be broken down and absorbed back into the hive regardless, meaning they employ suicidal tactics with ease. Because the new Tyranids will all be created from the Norn Queen above the hive ship, many have tried to target the Norn Queen directly. If the Queen is killed, a ripple of psychic energy travels through the hive mind, instantly birthing new Norn Queens on nearby hive ships, causing the hive fleet to splinter into smaller ones. And that's everything you need to know about the deadly Tyranid swarm. Leave a like if you learn something new. Subscribe if you keep coming back, and if you really like my work, maybe check out my Patreon.